Hi, and welcome to the next episode of Our Home with Mayor Sendzik. I'm Walter Sendzik, Mayor of City of St. Catharines, and I hope you had a wonderful April. And as they say, April showers bring May flowers. And I know across our city, as the Garden City, there will be flowers blooming everywhere. So I hope you're being able to get out and be active. It has been a wonderful month, and spring is here, and May is the time of year when we can really get out. The patios are open on St. Paul Street, all across our city, but downtown St. Catharines on St. Paul Street, you'll be able to experience the patios as the downtown comes back to life for the spring and summer. So today we have two special guests. We have Emily Kovacs from the Niagara Multicultural Centre, and she is new to the community and also would be considered a new immigrant, even though she's been in Canada for 30 years. She emigrated to Welland from Romania. Fun fact is that Emily speaks 3 languages, Hungarian, Romanian, and English. And she comes from away because she came back to Niagara, where she was in Toronto for the last 19 years. And she worked in a number of different positions at the City of Toronto. She is a former heritage language teacher and a person who holds a cultural interpretive diploma. And her breadth of experience in Toronto has, I think, really been a breath of fresh air for our community here in St. Catharines and also for the Multicultural Centre. It's such an important centre in our community as newcomers come to Niagara. They're looking for that place that helps with the integration and helps build those connectivities that are important when someone comes to our community from any place in the world. It is often in many respects a very scary experience. And so having a multicultural center in our community is an important part of how we do that, how we create that integration. And so Emily, first of all, congratulations. I know you've been in the position of executive director for a little while now, and this is a bit of a homecoming for you. Just, I guess from your perspective, when we were talking just before the show, you talked about how even though you've been in here for 30 years in Canada, you're still somewhat considered a newcomer.
Yes. First of all, thank you very much for having me
No problem.
A pleasure to be here. And I think you're right. In many ways, I consider myself as one of the poster children for the organization.
Yep.
Settlement and integration is a long process. It happens over many years. In most cases, Immigration Canada considers you a newcomer to be up to 5 to 10 years. But really, it doesn't stop at the 10-year mark. To this day, after 30 years of being here, I still learn new things. I still rely on friends and networks of individuals to help me through this journey. And I'm hoping that being in that position of being a service user and then now being the new executive director, I'll be able to rely on my own journey, but also on the journeys of all of those people who are coming to our center every day. So for me, it's also personal, but it's also very meaningful to be the executive director of a settlement organization.
So it's lived experience. You're able
Absolutely.
to relate. So I guess talk a bit about the center itself and what it means to a newcomer. So put in perspective for people who may not be familiar with the Multicultural Centre of what the experience would be for someone who's just arrived to Canada.
Sure. So again, reflecting on my own experience, I was 16 when I came to Canada, and I came to Welland. And although there are settlement organizations all throughout Niagara, I didn't know about the Folk Arts or about Welland Heritage Council, which is in Welland, for about 2 years. And it's through no fault of any of the centers. It's just the way it is. Immigrants and newcomers have challenges of their own. So I had a really tough time in the first couple of years. And then I found out about Folk Arts. I came, and it was the first place where I felt valued and welcomed. And I felt like, all right, there's someone there who can sort of show me around. When you're new, not only the language is new. I spoke no English when I came to Canada. So language was a barrier. I lost all my friends and my family. So navigating a brand new country is a challenging process. So for me, when I came to Folk Arts, I started volunteering there right away. I wanted to be there every day because it felt like those folks understood my journey and they understood what I need to do. So the journey of a newcomer is, you want to know everything about the country. You want to find a job. You want to find employment. You want to find housing. You want to find new friends. And that's our job. Our job at the center is to support you as a newcomer in the best way that you wish. We do case management, which means we look at all of your needs, not only paperwork help, not only all of those pieces that are really critical for you to settle in Canada, but also how to connect you with your new community. How do we help you to come in and meet someone who could be your mentor, who could provide some leadership opportunities for you. So we don't, we create a relationship with you.
Right.
We want to make sure that your success is really what we're all about, and your success will be ours.
Well, what's interesting is there's been a lot of talk about the immigration numbers coming into Canada, and how is that presenting at the center? We see it in the media talking about people coming across the border, and we do have a very robust immigration policy that's part of the Canadian government. And that's an important, I think people need to understand why there's an immigration policy like that. There is, our population, what I'll call our naturalized population is going down, is trending lower. And so in order to continue to fill the positions, the jobs, the opportunities, in order to continue the what would be the growth, the overall economic growth and social growth of the community, it's about bringing new people into Canada. What's the Niagara experience been?
In fact, you're right. Canada needs newcomers and immigrants to be able to maintain its social and economic well-being, and that's just a fact of life. In terms of Niagara, we at our center, we see roughly about 60 to 70% of the folks who come through our doors. They're actually independent newcomers, which means that they went through the process, they have the skill set and the education, and they're already landed immigrants. They have a lot to offer to Canada. Right. So our job is to figure out how to connect them to the networks and the mentorships to be able to actually materialize all of the skills that they're bringing with them. The remainder, which is a smaller portion of the center, we do see refugee claimants and refugees from all across the world. Our trends are currently, we do see a lot of folks from Eritrea. We see folks from Venezuela coming. Okay. We still see lots of folks from Syria. They've been here for almost 3 or 4 years now, but we do still see some of those individuals. And of course, we do see folks coming from the States as well. And that's a reality. People go where they need to go because they need to find a place where they feel safe and they feel included. So for us, it's really important to pay attention to every class of immigration, and we particularly pay attention to those folks who are most vulnerable, and that would be the refugee claimant group.
And it's one of the highlights of my year so far was the citizenship ceremony at the Multicultural Centre, downtown St. Catharines. It's Robertson Hall. It's right on Church Street. And just hearing where the people are from and seeing the smiles on their face and the pride that they had in becoming new Canadians. That was those moments a lot of the public don't get to see. But you get to experience it on a daily basis. Yes,
and that is a highlight for me as well. Particularly this one was the first highlight because I took my citizenship in the same room as they did.
I forgot about that.
So that was really touching for me on a personal level, to actually stand in front of those folks to say, I've been through your journey and I will continue to be here to support you in any way I can. And I think what impresses me most is that when they get to that point, overwhelmingly, what newcomers want to show is that they're proud of they're proud of their Canadian citizenship, and they want to give back.
Yeah.
And they want to emulate all the values that we have as Canadians. I mean, aside from the citizenship, one of the really impressive things that I learned in the last 6 months is when we embarked on the Out of the Cold program. And most folks don't know, we connected with Sarnia of Niagara, and we did the Out of the Cold program for 3 nights a week from October to April. Overwhelmingly, all of the newcomers who were at our center, they all wanted to help.
Wow.
They were making food for the homeless individuals, and so the issues that newcomers represent, they're complex. They're not unilateral, and we have the same values, and we just need to figure out how to bring those values out and how to share those stories where everyone is put in a positive light, that they're not seen as a drain to society. In fact, they are amazingly skilled and talented, and they want to be a part of this society.
And speaking of that, the Folk Arts Festival, which is kicking off at the beginning of May and runs through the month of May, that is the opportunity to showcase a lot of what you're talking about.
Right.
So just quickly touch on one of the longest or the longest folk arts multicultural festivals in Canada.
That's right. So May 2nd to the 26th,
Yep.
25 amazing days and 32 activities crammed into 25 days.
Oh yeah, trust me, there's a lot of activities.
There's a lot.
A lot of food, a lot of music, a lot of culture.
Absolutely.
A lot of dance.
That's right. So if you wanted to, so we kick off on the 2nd with the Ambassador Ball. Then we have, of course, the flag raising ceremony on the 4th with City Hall.
Yep.
And on that day, we have amazing activities. So if you want to learn about a new language, if you want to, find out about your cultural IQ, you want to do all sorts of interactive activities, that would be the day that you could participate at Robertson Hall. And then for the remainder 24 days, it's a whole bunch of fun open houses. We have a Taste of Canada.
Yeah.
We also have a newcomer youth day at the park.
Wonderful.
And then one of the interesting highlights for me, actually there's a couple, but the first is, as you know, we have a new Syrian group in Niagara, and they're celebrating their 4th year now, and most of them are Canadian citizens, and they're really proud of that. So we have 3 different activities that are related to that. So we have a movie, a play, and of course the open house that will happen that reflects Ramadan, which is at the same time, that happens at the same time. So they'll be telling the community about what an iftar is, what a breaking of the fast is. So lots of amazing things to do. Bring your family, bring your kids, lots to do.
So I want to say thank you for, again, just bringing a new light to the Multicultural Centre, and I really think with your lived experience, you'd give a different dynamic to the centre and how it's become a centre of excellence for welcoming newcomers into our community. You and your team are providing a wonderful service, and it is not unnoticed. A lot of people are talking about it. And for those at home, the Folk Arts Festival, which runs pretty much the month of May, you can check it out. Go to folkarts.ca.
Yes.
It's a great website. It has all of the open houses. I expect to see you at the open houses. There's food, there's dance, there's costume, there's music. It's going to be, and it is, a highlight for our community. It showcases the fabric of who we are. It's that wonderful mosaic that really knits us all together. So I hope to see you all out at the different folk arts events. And after the break, we're going to have someone from the Niagara Distress Centre talking about what's going on in that part of the community. So Stacy will be joining us just after the break. So stay tuned. Hi, it's Mayor Walter Sendzik. Welcome back to Our Home with Mayor Sendzik. And we were just talking with Emily Kovacs from the Niagara Multicultural Centre and talking about the wonderful Folk Arts Festival that's coming up through the month of May. And now joining me, I have Stacy Terry, who is the Executive Director of the Distress Centre Niagara. And she's been working with the Distress Centre Niagara for the past 21 years, and she started as a frontline volunteer. So we're really going to be talking about some of the volunteer work that the Distress Centre does, and also learn more about it. The center's values of respect and empowerment to both the individuals calling in and the volunteer responders is what drew her in to become as involved in the distress line movement as she is today. And I got to say that, Stacy, you are a leader in a very complex, challenging sort of program. And I've gotten to know you over the last number of years. There's an annual walk that takes place in...
Yeah, September 10th. So World Suicide Prevention Day is when we do the walk every year. It'll be in St. Catharines again this year.
Yep.
So we'll make sure that we have lots of information out on our website.
And really, that's when I started to learn more about the distress,
Yeah.
what is the Distress Center Niagara. And I think my first year being mayor, I was at the Grantham Lines.
Yes, it was.
And there was a walk from there.
Yeah.
And what really had impact on me, and you had people speaking about loved ones that they had lost, and also you had folks talking about the impact of the distress center itself and how it's helped them. And that was something that I didn't really understand. And so we have a golf tournament, as you have one in June coming up.
Yeah, we do.
We have the Mayor's Golf Tournament, which is a great annual tournament, and we raise funds for different organizations in our community. And this year, as part of the golf committee, we were talking about different agencies, and we talked about the Distress Center Niagara. And what I found interesting is a lot of the committee members really weren't aware of, one is what it takes to run a distress center, and what the distress center does on a daily basis. So today I want to really start to touch on that. So let's start with, for those who may not know, what is the Distress Center Niagara? What do you do?
So it's not surprising that not everybody knows about distress centering, because if you're not in crisis, not in distress, you're not looking for it.
Right.
So that doesn't surprise me. What we do is we offer, for almost 50 years now, we've been in Niagara offering 24-hour distress and crisis services. Anyone, all ages, welcome to call in. It's a free service. We don't ever close. So we have a dedicated group of highly skilled volunteer responders who ensure that that line runs 365, whether, city events, anything that's going on, Christmas, it doesn't matter, we're open.
So when you say you're open and these volunteers, it's about when a person's in a crisis, and it would be largely a mental health crisis?
Nope, self-defined. So anything that's happening for an individual, it could be relationship issues, it could be financial, could be mental health for sure. Of course, we see a great number of mental health calls, but it could be suicide related, which isn't always mental health. And it could also be addictions,
Okay.
School. We have a big university town that we're in, university and college, so the pressures of school, international students, we run the gamut.
And so to do that, we're just coming out of April, which is Volunteer Appreciation Month across communities in Canada, and we've done a volunteer recognition event at the City of St. Catharines. I've attended a number of different volunteer appreciation luncheons and dinners. It's an opportunity to say thank you. Touch a bit about, because volunteers are really the driver behind what you do.
It's the cornerstone.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't run without volunteers. So we cannot operate 24/7 without the volunteer responder. So we appreciate them 365 days out of the year. So we do our little, our events and special things right now as the extra, but without that amazing team that we have, they're dedicated. We could have any amount of money and we would not be able to offer the service.
So I'm listening at home, I'm watching the show, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, I've got time. I'd like to give back to the community. Describe what it would be like and how much training goes into being a volunteer.
So really, all we ask is that you have a desire to want to spend time stepping into someone's life for a bit and walking with them. We're going to give you all the training you need. So we're going to train you in distress and crisis. We're going to train you in just good active listening and just really being that good human being that everybody is, and enhancing those skills to talk on the phone to help an individual. So we'll do all the skill building. It takes some time to go through classroom training, about 24 hours, spread out over a couple of weeks, and then you go through shadowing sessions with us, so we don't just throw you onto the lines. and that's where our staff complement comes in.
Okay.
So with the volunteers being the frontline support, we need folks to support those volunteers, because without them, we don't operate, as I said. So then I have a great team of staff who do that 24-hour support to those individuals.
So you do a golf tournament, you do the walk, you get supported by golf tournaments like the Mayor's Golf Tournament.
Yeah.
What are the funds? How much do you need? Do you need more? And what are the funds for?
Yeah, so the funds go into keeping us running 24/7. So they go into operations.
Okay.
They go into recruiting, screening, and training our volunteer responders so that they're ready to go all the time. We're funded through the United Way majority, and then through fundraisers and community donations. So we are always very grateful for third-party fundraisers. We do 2 of our own. We also offer training, fee-for-service training, that helps us to fundraise for our agency, because we sometimes have a little expertise in some of the training.
So we brought you in to the City of St. Catharines
You
to do
did.
some training. So if there's folks who are watching that are a part of businesses or organizations, explain what your training. I've seen it firsthand, but explain what you do with your training when you come on site.
Yeah, we have a range of things that we do. So we have standardized training that is certificate at the end, and that's Safe Talk and Assist. They are suicide awareness, and the Assist is suicide intervention training. So they're 2 very separate programs. They're standardized by Living Works Education, and we're certified trainers for that. So we do lots of suicide training, and then we do training that is specific to agencies, similar to when we came into City Hall. We'll tailor it for what the individual agency is looking for. Usually it's around de-escalation training, just really having good conversations with people, and how do you do that when someone's in crisis. So we do a lot of training around that.
Well, what I found interesting and helpful from the training that the Distress Center provides for businesses and corporations and other community organizations is that when you look at the ads that Bell puts on for Let's Talk, and you look at what they talk about, some of it, when you look at it, some of it is workplace. We're identifying those conversations or those employees, and being able to have in the workplace that healthy well-being, and also the education or the training to be able to engage and de-escalate, as you were talking about, or identify.
That's right.
And so the Niagara Distress Center Niagara provides a lot of that opportunity to learn more. So I would encourage businesses that are out there, or those who are part of organizations, to look into the Distress Center Niagara and their training programs, because it does help to create a more healthy well-being within the overall environment that you're in. And want to talk a bit, we touched on the volunteers, we touched on the Distress Center and what it provides. In today's environment, there's multiple ways to get in touch. So you've been involved 21 years.
Yeah,
Back in 21 years ago, there was probably one phone that someone would pick up, and you would have to use for the kids. You won't know what this means, but do a rotary, a phone, or whatever. Now the touch points are so multifaceted. How has your organization adapted?
So of course, there's always technology change. Back in the day, I remember doing stats manually by hand. There was none of this computer, so we have that. We have technology to run our data. Phone systems have changed immensely, but now we're dipping our toes into text and chat services, because definitely that's how you're reaching bigger parts of the population. And we know that people have anxieties around using the phone, and it seems to be more prevalent in the youth. So having this extra option to reach out has been really beneficial.
So it's text and chat on the mobile phone, or just on your computer?
So an individual can text into us through their mobile devices, or they can go on a stationary computer and
Start chatting.
Which is not quite as common, but it does still happen.
Wow.
Yes. So we're just dipping our toes in with our provincial partners to see, can we offer this service and how is it running? And there's a great need already, the numbers are extraordinary actually. It's above 70% that report they wouldn't reach out in any other way if they didn't have text and chat.
Right.
So we know that it's needed.
And it just shows that the ones, I believe, who are calling in, it ranges. So give us a sense of the range of age demographic that's calling into the distress center.
So call volume we typically see anywhere from 15 to 80s, 90s in our caller demographic. Yep. The most being in that 30, 40, 50-ish range because we're so used to the phone, right?
Okay.
And then our younger, so we're looking at about 12 to 30s is the higher demographic in text and chat.
Right.
But you'll get folks past that as well.
So you've been around for over 50 years as a distress
We're getting
center.
close to 50 years, yeah. We'll celebrate 50 next year.
Celebrating 50 next year.
Here we are, yeah.
So I guess just as we wrap up, touch on your greatest need and how the community can help.
Yeah, the greatest need for distress center is always volunteers, always people who are interested in answering calls and just being a part of, it's the community serving the community, right? So we always need volunteers. We always recruit volunteers.
How would I, if I wanted to volunteer, what would I do?
Yep, so you can phone in. I think our number is probably on the screen.
Yep.
Or you can go to our website at distresscenterniagara.com and there's an application process there. And then we start talking about intake to make sure that people are ready for
Yep.
what they're getting into.
Yep.
And then we invite people into training as long as they're ready to go.
Wonderful, wonderful. So I want to say thank you on behalf of the
Thank you.
city for what you do and providing an essential service. And as you said at the beginning of our discussion, it's not necessarily well known because it's only in a time of crisis really that someone's going to pick up that phone or start texting. But what we want, the reason why it's important for you to be on the show, I believe today, is because it's about the friends and family members as well. Being able to be aware of that there's a confidential line that someone can call or text to, it allows friends and family members to say, if you don't want to have that discussion, you can call this. Just leave it on the fridge. Leave the number somewhere where people can see it. Leave it on someone's computer, wherever it may be,
Sure.
where they can make that phone call. So, you've done a wonderful job as the executive director, and your team of volunteers, they are providing an essential service. And so I thank you on behalf of the City of St. Catharines.
you.
And I know that throughout the year, as you said, 365 days, there's committed volunteers who are helping those in crisis. And we never know when we are going to be in crisis. And I use the word we because I think we all face challenges in our life, and it's not someone else's issue, it's our issue. And so
Yep.
the Distress Center Niagara is an important service that we have. And I hope you've learned, those at home have learned about what the Distress Center is providing for those in our community and also for the Multicultural Centre. And if you want to get involved in the Multicultural Centre, go to their website. They're always looking for volunteers, help welcome newcomers into our community. So this has been a great informative show here on Our Home with Mayor Sendzik. And I hope to see you out and about. And if you're out taking photos on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, use the hashtag OurHomeSTC. We have over 41,000 posts that have been put up under Our Home STC. So it is a phenomenal place to check out photos on the city of St. Catharines, in the city. It's also for Twitter to see what's going on. So continue to use that hashtag. And I'm proud to be from the city of St. Catharines. I'm honored to be the mayor of the city of St. Catharines because there's so much going on and we all make this a great community. So until next time, have a great May. And next time we're talking, I think we're going to be heading into the summer. So take care. Enjoy the rest of spring.